New voice. New format. Or maybe just the first one. Bollocks.
Welcome to episode 121 of Chet and John's reassuringly finite gaming playlist. My name's John Denton. With me, as always, Chet Roivas.
Hello.
2 top 5 lists this week because it's the summer, it's been the World Cup, there aren't very many video games out, and we don't want to bore you with a load of fucking trash. So let's do this. 2 top 5s.
Okay, all right. Well, my number 5 is actually 2 games, so I've got 6, but I just lump them together.
Oh.
It's 2 iOS games, Chippy and Ridiculous Fishing. My internet went down the other night mid Titanfall, so before bed, I just went to bed and I just stuck the iPad on and I played these 2. I won't go on about Chippy. It was a listener recommendation months ago. I've dipped in and out of it for the past few months, and it is just a superb little thing where you're running a fish and chip shop. It's just great. It should be huge. It isn't. I don't know why. Get hold of it, especially if you have an iPad. But Ridiculous Fishing is a game that everyone's played probably, and everyone knows what it is, but I've never played it. My girlfriend went to Starbucks and they were giving away these free cards where you go to free downloads, and I downloaded it then about a year ago. So I hadn't played it, so I just stuck that on. Everyone knows what it is. You throw a tackle into some water and then you guide it using the tilt controls of your iOS device. I played on an iPad, and you want the tackle to go as deep as possible before landing your first fish. As soon as you touch a fish, the line starts recording and you have to use the tilt controls again to do the exact opposite thing, collect as many fish as possible on the way up. When you hit the surface, the fish are flung into the air and you shoot them by quickly tapping on them. It's as simple and as appealing as it sounds, but it's made by Vlambeer, who also made Luftrausers. Is that all they've done, those 2 games?
No, they've done a few. The most famous one's probably Super Crate Box as well, which,
of course.
You still haven't played, have you? But that's great too. And I think they've done a few experimental smaller games, odds and sods, which I haven't played. Yeah, there was one where you're hunting maybe a Yeti or something like that. That was actually the first one of their games that I played. I didn't really understand. And they've got Nuclear Throne, which is in early access at the moment, which is the top-down shooter that with randomly generated levels. That looks really cool, but I'm waiting for that to be finished before I buy it. I think they're top corns.
Yeah, just on those 2 games, but it seems like they have a style just based on having played those 2. In that they appear to take something that's so small and seemingly quite slight and embellish it to the point where it resembles a full console game rather than an iOS game. And it's almost entirely through the combinations of tools that you can apply. I mean, you can get longer lines for your rod. You can add this toaster that I've just got that gives you an extra life as when you're on the way down. And I've looked at the reels. It's the same sort of. They have that reel structure where you sort of put them together. There's loads of stuff to unlock, so I'm looking forward to what's coming. I've only really just started playing it, but
you get some great stuff later on.
Yeah, you can just tell it's exceptionally cool from the get-go. So
art style's cool, music's good. And I like the way the music reverses when you go back up.
Oh, so it does. I didn't actually notice that. Yeah.
And then the guitar kicks in when you chuckle the fish in the air.
Yeah.
My kid absolutely loves that game. I know it's probably violent or whatever. I don't care. He absolutely loves it.
I do. Yeah. I mean, it's just you can't argue with it. I'm looking forward to seeing what else it has to offer. Get meh.
Yeah. Cracker. All right, my number 5 is a game, weirdly, a game I got for free in a promotional offer. It's a game called Dino D-Day, which was given away as part of 1 million Steam codes by PC Gamer last week. And I'm wondering if Samuel, the PC Gamer editor, Sam Roberts, is listening right now, because he'd probably be pleased that I took up one of these Steam codes. Normally when you see an offer like that, it's normally for a beta for something that I'll never play. But then when they announced it was Dino D-Day, a first-person shooter starring dinosaurs in World War II, I was like, well, for free, it would probably be rude not to. I got it and downloaded it. I only played it today, and only for a very short amount of time. It's actually a multiplayer shooter. I only played 1 match. It seemed fairly simple, but also kind of difficult to work out exactly what was going on. It appeared to be World War II soldiers running around a map, but also dinosaurs ranging from those tiny little ones from Jurassic Park that are about the size of your shin, all the way up to T-Rexes. I don't know how you get the dinosaurs. I couldn't work it out. The hit detection didn't seem particularly good on the shooting either. I did get a couple of kills, but it didn't really feel. It just kind of felt like random luck that I got them. So I appeared to be aiming at people, but it didn't have any the X's that every game has now when you hit someone. So yeah, I mean, it was never going to be the most accomplished game in the world, but it's certainly quite funny and is a great freebie. I want to get back in and play a bit more. I want to unlock a T-Rex or be a T-Rex or just go and have a munch. There's people running around with flamethrowers, and the whole thing's. I've got nothing bad to say about it apart from the fact that as a shooter, it wasn't quite as accomplished as maybe it needed to be a real cult classic. But this is based on one game, so take that with a pinch of salt by all means. When someone says, here's a free thing with a bunch of dinosaurs in it, there you go. You're not going to say no, are you?
Exactly.
And it'd be rude to be mean about it. It's not like a free-to-play game where they're asking you for money. This was just genuinely a free game.
Was it always a free game?
No. It was part of this promotion. I think it costs money. I don't know how much, but I'd never heard of it. It's utterly bizarre, but yeah.
And there are no microtransactions in it?
No, because I don't think it's a free game in that sense. It was free because it was part of this promotion with PC Gamer, but I don't think it's actually a free game. In order to get the code, you had to like this thing on Facebook, and now I get on Facebook a bunch of messages with things that are like Humble Bundles, but with games that you never heard of, but they cost like £1 or whatever. Completely inoffensive stuff. It's not like posting on my wall or anything like that, just appearing in my feed every now and again, so no problem there. So I guess that's the point in it, to get people to like that. I guess that's why it exists. But yeah, Dino D-Day runs smooth as hell, no lag, good job.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I was wondering why something like that would be free, but yeah, I guess that's the answer. Okay, my number 4 is Need for Speed Hot Pursuit on the Xbox 360.
Which one's that? The one, but yeah, I do know what that one is. Sorry. Yeah.
It's the
First Criterion one, isn't it?
Is it it is the First Criterion one. Yeah, you're right. It's always been beside me for months and months. It's been beside my TV because it's still on my pile of games to get through. So my girlfriend is always saying, "Let's play that on. Let's have a go. Let's take it in turns." And earlier in the week we decided to do that. I love it so much. I mean, it's such an exciting game. I mean, I think it's the best Burnout game. It's probably slightly, I'd say it's a lesser. It's harder to praise than probably Burnout Paradise, just because Burnout Paradise was completely innovative, and I think that every multiplayer racer now owes something to Burnout Paradise. But I think Hot Pursuit is my favourite. It feels so tight. It looks marvellous even now, and it's really aggressive about pushing your buttons. So there's really hyped up, ultra dramatic sort of movie music in addition to the stuff you can have in your stereo. When things, when the police start chasing you, this big dramatic music starts playing, and they amplify the whoosh noise of choppers as they fly over you, and the sort of computer blips when you deploy one of your weapons. And when you do a boost, there's sort of F1 car sound effects, and you have this sort of high-pitched squeal that sounds like you're about to break the sound barrier. And when you're a cop as well, when your systems get jammed, the music kind of dulls out and you can hear slightly distorted yelling over the police radio. It's just, I don't know, in first-person shooters, it's standard practice to kind of draw on the tropes of action movies, but this is the first, I'd say it's the first proper and possibly only time that those tropes have been applied to a driving game, or at least anywhere near as successfully as this. I felt like amped up in the way you do after playing a shooter, after playing it. So yeah, I mean, I love it. It's one of those games that it basically has no future, because driving games are always prevalent and they're always evolving. And in one day it may come out as like some kind of limited upgrade bundle. They used to do this HD remix where they chucked all the Splinter Cells on a disc, etc. Maybe it will come back in that form at some point one day, but it's basically a corpse. It's just, it's so astoundingly well made, and everything about it is well judged. Even the menus with the main menu is just this map that basically has you ticking off boxes of a load of checklists of stuff that you've got to do, which is very in tune with the way that most people play those games. Smash that, get that done, do this. It's just, it's such a well made game that it should be a kind of genre staple that people play for the rest of time. But then again, that's the difference between video games and every other creative industry, really. There's always the
next one. Yeah,
there's always the next one, and people always want the next one, myself included.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
going back, I was just like, what a game this was. And it's just, it's dead.
Yeah, you had flashes of it in the new one. I've forgotten the name of that one now. The Ghost Games ones. Yeah, there were flashes of that. its brilliance, but it just never quite got there. It never quite grabbed me, and it was just always a bit. It just felt unfinished, that game. I talked about that loads when it came out. Just 3/4 finished or something. Okay, my number 4 is Guacamelee Super Turbo Championship Edition. Is that what it's called?
I think so.
Yeah, on Xbox One. This is part of Games with Gold. I'd played and finished Guacamelee on Vita. Definitely one of my favourite games on PlayStation Vita. I think it's absolutely superb. So I was excited to play this. I wasn't sure what Super Turbo Championship Edition was, and I'm still not, to be honest, after playing it for about half an hour, 40 minutes. I was kind of hoping it would be a big chunk of new content that was available from the start or something, and I started playing the game and I was like, this is pretty sure this is just exactly the same. Just looks absolutely gorgeous on full screen in HD. Not that it didn't look lovely on Vita before. And so I got through the first bit where you're just kind of plodding through the Mexican town with the good trumpet music, and into the bit where the game starts properly, and I was like, I can't really work out what's different. Apparently there's some new moves and new characters, and I think there is some new content later on or something, but I thought there's not enough here for me to play through this whole very difficult game again, where I can't play it on a train. You know, Guacamelee was basically exclusively played on trains, and there's a very, very, very hard boss towards the end who is a great boss, but is a complete cunt, to be honest. And if I hadn't been stuck on a train with about an hour and a half to go, I probably would have given up. The thought of doing that guy again from the comfort of my own home when I can just play a different game is not going to happen. But if you've never played Guacamelee and you have, I think, is it also on 360 on Games with Gold?
It's not free, but you can get it on 360.
Okay, but it's only free on Xbox One.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you have an Xbox One, you haven't played Guacamelee, you missed it on PlayStation Plus when it was on there, I'd personally highly recommend it. It's a brilliant Metroidvania, for want of a less annoying term, combat game with fantastic platforming where it gets super challenging very quickly, and what seems like kind of a flimsy combat system at first, where you're grabbing guys and chucking them about, soon becomes almost... It has shades of Beautiful Joe to it later on, where not that you're using slowdown and things like that, but it's so precise, and it's all about this parry move that just feels really nice when you hit it, and it has a window large enough so you can pretty much hit it constantly, which you need to do because you're getting attacked the whole time. And that coupled with platforming where it's one of those games that operates in, there's like 2 dimensions to it, and you can use a button to switch between dimensions. A few games have done that over different times, Zelda games and a few different things. So the platforming has stuff like you're switching in between the 2 worlds mid-jump, and just like wall jumping and switching and wall jumping. Very, very technical game. It requires a lot of dexterity with your hands, but it's good to kind of flex those muscles again. I really think it's a cracker. I think the humour misses it more than it hits, personally, but some people seem to get a bit of a kick out of it. But highly recommended if you've never played it before.
Yeah, my girlfriend. My girlfriend had played the opening half hour the other day, and she seemed to grasp it. It started throwing those sort of complicated jumps and uppercuts and jumping off walls and stuff, and she seemed to grasp it quite well. I think there's less humour in it. I think maybe they've curbed some of the sort of meme references and stuff, because it seemed like it was less relentless. I remember it being relentless on Vita. You're better equipped to remember whether that's complete bullshit.
I mean, remembering the opening is kind of fuzzy, but I do remember. I remember when I first played it, and I was like, I want to like this game, but it's annoying me in a really pointless way. It's not annoying me with its systems or anything like that. It's just annoying me by talking rubbish at me that I'm not finding funny. But some people seem to find it really funny, and they like all the references to other games and things. I don't hate it. It just doesn't quite hit. It was a bit too memey.
Yeah, no, I mean, I couldn't notice any difference aside from that. But another friend of mine who has an Xbox 360 and an Xbox One and can never be bothered to download the free games. Don't ask me why. I've just said there's a free game sitting there. Why don't you download it and look at it? For some reason, Guacamelee, he picked it up and he smashed through it in a day and a half. And
really?
It's now one of his favourite games of all time.
Oh, no way. Brilliant.
So if you have an Xbox One and you're thinking about not playing that, I say do it. Although I'm pretty sure I played it just at the time when I was playing the Strider remake, which I really liked. But I just something about as soon as that Metroidvania structure begins, I'm just like, oof.
Yeah, it does. To be honest, it doesn't require the same amount of backtracking and thought that a lot of those games do. It's fairly straightforward, even though it does have that structure to it. It is basically linear, even though it's not. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe I'll go back to. I mean,
it's really good. I mean, 9 out of 10 good for me. Just
Yipes.
Amazing. Towards the end, it's the second half of it. I'd say it's just absolutely superb.
Okay, maybe I will. There's nothing out, so I might as well at some point.
Yeah, I'd probably still recommend the Vita version, to be honest, just so you can play it on the move if you still have it on there or access to it.
It did look really nice on the Xbox One.
Oh, it does. It looks great.
Yeah.
But, you trains in it.
Well, that's true. Whichever happens first, I'll see.
Okay.
Whether I get in a train or whether I...
Sorry, you didn't need to explain. It's fine. I was with you.
All right, my number 3 is on your list as well, I assume. So we can wait and do that whenever it's Sniper Elite 3.
Yes, it is on my list, but it's up at number 1.
Okay, well, let's leave it till then.
Okay. So my number 3 then is actually Max Curse of Brotherhood. Is this on your list this week?
It's not. No.
Okay, so after hearing you talk about it last week and watching Dave play it, Dave Turner stream it briefly on Twitch, it was quite funny. I like you just said about your friend, who's probably one of my friends as well, I'm assuming, who doesn't bother downloading the free games. I was kind of like that on Games with Gold because they were so shit for so long on 360. I just never bothered. But now I obviously downloaded Guacamelee and this, and I was looking after my little boy. My wife was working, and he was doing my head in. So I said, "Do you want to come and see this game because it's cartoony?" And I thought he might like it, and he absolutely loved it. And he sat on my lap with a Wii Pro controller, pretending to play along, and we played well into the second world or act or whatever. It's one of those games like 1-1, 1-2, 1-3. So well into like 2-3 or something like that. And he was just sat there commenting along the whole time. Probably a tiny bit too scary for him, but he didn't seem to be bothered by it at all. He just seemed to be very concerned about getting your brother back and just continually asking me where your brother is. And I explained to him and he go, "Yeah, that's okay." Really good. Really good game. Kind of done a lot of it before, a lot of the climbing, clambering stuff before, but the fact that you have this magic pen and you can zap it across the screen by holding the right trigger and lift up specified areas where you can kind of create these towers out of earth. Then you get a power bit later on where you can pull tree branches out, and I got to the bit where you can make vines as well. I don't know if you get more after that, but that's about where I am right now. It starts to pull together some clever physics puzzles, and I'm assuming obviously I'm not a game developer, but this seems like it must have been really difficult to make when a lot of variable parts that are user controlled in these levels, and you need to make sure they all work, otherwise you're fucked.
Yeah.
I don't know someone. I'm sure someone more knowledgeable than me would know better than that. Well, of course they would, but that stuff was quite impressive, and it has great moments as well. The stuff where you're getting chased by the big monsters, like the character design's kind of cool. I'm not really seeing characters that look like that before, especially the big square-headed monster that kind of recurs. Like you described it well last week when you kind of said it was a Pixar-y Limbo. I don't think maybe it's quite got the quality and conciseness of Limbo, but it's definitely really good, and as a freebie, truly a great freebie. That's up there with the best PS Plus freebies, really. Yeah. In terms of something that you would maybe never have touched. I mean, I knew this game existed, but it had got 7s, and it's not like, you're probably not buying in this day and age games that are getting 7s unless it's in a genre that you love. Yeah. So I probably would have never have touched it, but this is perfect, really. If they keep at this level on Games with Gold, then they've got another great service to equal the PS Plus, quite frankly.
Yeah, it is really. I mean, you did, like you said, it is not original in the slightest. The chances are that most people who play video games have played several games that this owes a massive debt to. Yeah. But it's really. I mean, some of it, I just thought. I do. I was not aware that this game existed at all. I didn't know that Microsoft had bought the studio that made the first Max game, and this is now effectively an exclusive because they're a second-party studio now. But I didn't. I think they should be shouting about it. I assume they went to Games with Gold because they released it. It didn't do so brilliantly, so they put it on there. Whereas this should be part of their big, hey, look what's on Xbox One.
Yeah.
You know, when they do montages of like, hey, look, Titanfall, but this is like incredibly good looking and appealing. You know, I'm just a bit of a mystery, really.
Yeah, they talked about it last year. I don't know if they did it at E3 last year or they did something around it. So it was kind of in the back of my mind. But you're right, it's not. Sony's done such a great job at pushing that stuff to the forefront, and I think that seems to be one of the main reasons people are buying PlayStation Vitas, just from anecdotal evidence, nothing numeric, but that seems to be why people are buying that console as opposed to anything. You don't even really get big games on there anymore, do you? Like there was Killzone, and I can't remember. Has there been anything else on Vita that looks like it's had millions of dollars put into it? I can't remember.
Not really. Tearaway?
Yeah, Tearaway. But even that came out cheap, didn't it? That was 20 quid when it came out.
Yeah.
What a game that is.
Really.
But yeah, well, train of thought. Oh yeah, Sony do such a great job of pushing that stuff to the forefront and making it seem as important as their big games, their big franchises, and that elevates that stuff out of being kind of nichey and an afterthought. Even though the quality might have always been the same as when people used to think about those games like that. And I think that's important, and Microsoft do need to. Well, Xbox do need to definitely step up. I mean, it's mad not to when it's there. It's not like it's free. It's easy.
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, it was nice to be sort of taken by surprise like that, but I feel bad that it wasn't like a more. I mean, maybe it did okay. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have any numerical data, but then when do we ever?
Yeah, exactly. Exactamond. Okay, well, that was 3. So my number 2 is actually by far and away my number 1, but I've put it on my number 2 because I don't want to go on about it. It is Titanfall.
I've left it off my list this week, but yes, it's my number 1 as well. It would be.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't not because I've played a silly amount over the last few days. I mean, it's my friends and I cannot get enough of it at the moment. It has a hold on us that's unlike anything else, and only reminds me of how obsessed we all were with the original Call of Duty Black Ops, which is the only game where we just could not get enough of it. And yeah, I mean, Titanfall is a work of genius, and even if that wasn't apparent already, I've started regenerating, and it goes to show yet again how perfectly balanced it is, how perfectly balanced it is. Regenerating, if you don't know, is prestiging in Titanfall. Yeah. Once you get to a certain level, you basically go back to square one. But in order to regenerate, every single time you have to fulfill a load of different criteria before you can do it. So get a certain number of kills with a certain weapon, use a certain projectile a certain number of times, a certain anti-Titan weapon, blah, 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 blah. And for the first hour or so after you've regenerated, it ruins the game. You know, you have to use sniper rifles and you have to use satchel charges and you have to completely alter the way you play. You know, I do not want to sit cloaked somewhere sniping at people. I never want to do that at all. But because you start accommodating these new weapons and new kit that you maybe haven't used very much, you just begin discovering new ways to play the game, and you end up figuring your way around some weapons that are terribly awkward at first. But they're only awkward until every time I've prestiged or regenerated 4 times, I think. And every time, as soon as I get my loadouts, I add a new loadout which features the stuff that I learned in the previous thing. So that's
brilliant, really.
It is, but for a game to be able to accommodate that is just incredible, really. The fact that all of that stuff can work, and that's why, if everyone was just doing the same things, the game would be nowhere near as good as it is. It wouldn't ruin it or anything, but it would be nowhere near, because you often see people doing it, like, I bet he's trying to do that, or he's a level 3, he's trying to get that, blah, blah, blah. You know, so you can see people, so you can keep an eye out for certain people behaving a certain way. It's an incredible game, Titanfall. I keep calling it prestiging, but regenerating all these times has just made it even more impressive, which I didn't think was possible. I do understand the issue that some people have with the lack of customization or a deep customization suite for the weapons. A friend of mine refuses to play it because he wants the weapons to be like they are in Battlefield, which is, incredibly. I mean, God knows how many fucking combinations of different guns you can have in Battlefield, how many different scopes, etc. I mean, it's ludicrously in depth. Does Titanfall need that? I don't think so. Would it hurt it if it had it? Possibly.
Yeah, possibly.
So I don't know, because that seems to be a complaint that I see levelled at the game all the time. I got bored because I couldn't piss around with guns, and I'm like, well, I am pissing around with guns because I'm regenerating all the time. But even if I wasn't, I'm still. Titanfall is just amazing.
It is. It is indeed. And I mean, I'm now getting to the point where I'm heading towards my second prestige, and the challenges are actually the weapons that I've been using anyway, pretty much. But looking forward to the next one where I do have to switch up my game, because I always want to when I play games like that. Okay, I'll get out of my comfort zone. But then after you start having a few shitty matches, you're like, I'm just going back to my guns. But if the game's forcing you to do that, and it's never, I mean, I say forcing, it's actually not forcing you to do it at all. You don't have to prestige. It's completely up to you. There's no real benefit for doing so. It's just a thing to do to keep you interested. But every single time when I've had to use a certain weapon or something, I've said to my friends when we're playing, and I'm sure it's driven them up the wall, I'm never going to get past this level. I'm just going to be here forever. I'm just going to stick it, prestige. And then as you use it more and more and more, you realise that it might be your favourite weapon, or it might be your favourite bit of kit, or it might be your favourite loadout, and you just, because the game is just perfectly balanced. We said it when it came out, and it's even more so. New map soon as well.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. Sweet. Okay, that was your 2, right?
Yes.
Okay, my number 2 is it's actually World Cup themed Pro Evolution Soccer 2014. Put it back on after, I think we talked about FIFA last week, did we? And Pro, I can't even remember now. Doesn't matter. And just decided to play some PES 2014 after 14,000 updates, data pack downloads, data pack installations, fucking torturous. Once I finally got into the game, the first 3 or 4 games I was just playing online. Remember when PES 2014 first came out, it was literally unplayable online on Xbox 360 for well over a month because of a bug where you couldn't download the appropriate update. Then when you finally could, it was laggy as shit for months. So basically, I completely sacked it off and never bothered. But now, the first 3 or 4 games that I played were almost lag-free as you can get, really. There's no button lag, there's no on-screen latency. Obviously, there's always going to be a little bit, and PES 2014 is a game that does struggle with responsiveness at the best of times. However, those games were glorious. I lost 1, won 2. All of them were just genuinely dramatic. Not even back and forth. I was going to say they're back and forth. A couple of them were, but one of them was just kind of a bit of a dour, like 2-1, where not a huge amount happened, but it made the stuff that did happen that much more significant, because I mean, I think I had 2 chances all match, but they felt like chances. Neither of them looked anything like the other one. You know what I mean? Like,
but that's why FIFA's so crap, because you never have games like that. It's just all it's action all the time.
Yeah, completely. There's no light and shade, and that's, I mean, PES 2014 has its problems. It certainly does, beyond all of this stuff. But it's still, that's what Pro Evo has done since the fucking first one. And I'm not talking about the first Pro Evo, I'm talking about ISS Pro on the PlayStation. It's had that thing where a chance feels like something as significant as it does when you when you're watching the World Cup, when you're watching real football. And that's why I don't know what it does to do that. Some people talk about it scripts things and it pushes the way to play in certain directions. Maybe it does, but you know what? Like, that's where the magic comes from. So you can bitch and moan, but that's what makes those highs feel so good. You know, like I was playing a game. I think I was down 1-0. I was playing as the Dutch, and the first half I couldn't really get anything going, and it was kind of a tight affair, and they scored. And I couldn't, couldn't get the ball to Robin, couldn't get the ball to Van Persie. So I completely changed the formation at half time. Like, I went into the thing, had a real tinker. And because the menus are so intuitive, you can just drag and drop players, super simple in Pro Evo. It's way easier than FIFA. And I'm not like some sort of football tactician. I don't play football management games very much or anything like that. You know, I've watched football my whole life, so I have a decent understanding. But it was just obvious stuff like, okay, this guy, Robin, I want to get him the ball, so I'm going to push him further out wide and then concentrate my attacks when I do get the ball to, like, high balls over to that area. I mean, it's just common sense, really. But I was able to do that, and the second half played out completely differently to the first half. Like what happens in real football all the time. It was like it had a completely different personality as a video game. That match, it was like open and stretched. There were chances at either end because of the fact that I'd moved the players around, and the game accommodates that so well and always has. And these are the things where it's just way better than FIFA. Even in the dark days, it did all that stuff better than FIFA. And FIFA was better than Pro Evo for a few years, don't get me wrong. Since then, it's got a bit laggier, and now everyone picks Germany. Since the disastrous night for Brazil the other night, now everyone I've played just picks Germany, and they are unbelievably good. It's not as bad as when people only pick Real Madrid in FIFA and you can't stop them. People pick Real Madrid in this all the time, but you can develop a tactic to stop Ronaldo. You can kind of squeeze up their players. It's not as stupid as it is on FIFA. But Germany, every single player is so good that I haven't found a tactic to stop them yet. Like giving away a free kick on the edge of the box, Kroos is going to score every time. So hopefully people will ease off that. But still, I'm really glad I went back to it. Probably going to be playing it as my main football game until PES 2015 and FIFA 15 comes out, and then go to war again.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that every time I hear anyone, like if I hear you talk about it or anything, I really want to play Pro Evo again. I think I might, because a friend's got my 360 copy. I've got the PS4, the PS3 version that I downloaded from PS Plus. I'm thinking, but I deleted it because I got so fed up with the data packs, and it was saying something was there and it wasn't.
Yeah.
But it'd be worth braving it again because I do want to play that fucking game again.
The new one's out in a few months, though.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, literally, it'd be the end of September, so I mean, that would be 2 months, like 2.5 months.
Didn't they? I saw a quote retweeted as part of a news story on Twitter, and it said like, "This year's PES is only coming out when it's ready." And I'm like, well, that's not true, is it?
No.
Because
I saw that, but it's just flagrantly not true. I mean, it is true because it was ready for the release date that they're releasing it, but. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Some of the PR that's been coming out of that one guy, Adam Batty or Barty or however you say his surname, has been sort of slating PES 14 and saying stuff about it that isn't true. Like every goal's the same, and I just think you don't need to do that. I don't really understand. He was the community manager before, and he's been promoted to being a producer within the UK studio, and he was, to be honest, really rude to people all the time as a community manager. So I was kind of surprised he was promoted. I don't know the guy. I'm sure he's wonderful at his job, but. Kind of weird the stuff he was saying about PES 2014. It has problems, but that ain't one of them. Every goal's the same. No, it fucking ain't.
Maybe I remember when I went to a press event to see FIFA 13 or FIFA 14, one of them, and David Rutter came out and his presentation was, "Look at how shit this is. Look at how shit this is." And I always just I was looking around. I always pictured like some executive pulling their hair out, saying, "Don't say that. We're still trying to sell this fucking game for the next 6 months, you twat." But he was literally saying, "Look at how rubbish that is. Look at how," and it was all from the current game he was talking about. So maybe he's taken a leaf out of his book.
Quite possibly, probably, in fact.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean that's a shame if he's just trying to sort of.
Yeah, it was a weird one because. There are legitimate things to say about that game, particularly the massive bugs on 360 version that fucked it from day one. But every goal's the same. It's certainly not one of them because I haven't scored 2 goals that look anything like each other since I've been playing it. Yeah,
maybe he's just really bad at it, and he just keeps scoring the same goals, and his friends are giving him shit, and he's just like, I'm rubbish. It would be nice if they did address the fuck show that was the launch, and they said that there's no chance of that happening again.
Really, because that is the major concern. Because I want to love it on next gen, I really do, but I'm not dealing with that shit. Especially when you can stick on FIFA and be in an online game in like 1 second, and then you know it's going to work.
Yeah, that's it. Well, it'll be as interesting as it always is.
Unless you're the type of person who finds that stuff hellishly boring, in which case, apologies.
Yeah, indeed. Okay. Well, my number 1 is a game called Mousecraft on the PlayStation 4. It is available on PC, and I believe it was an early access game on PC, and it's also cross-play, so buy it on PS4, you get it on PS3 and PS Vita. This is not on your list, no?
No, I did play a bit, but it was more of a number 6 type situation. I knew you'd be talking about it and probably better equipped to talk about it.
Okay, it's out now. It's described as Tetris meets Lemmings, and that is exactly what it is. There isn't a whole lot you can say about the concept because it makes perfect sense as an idea, and the game works just quite beautifully, really. The rules are explained very slowly. New systems are introduced throughout it. So you learn that mice can't fall any more than 3 blocks down or they die. They can also only climb 1 block. And then there are brick bombs that destroy bricks but don't harm the mice. Bouncy bricks, crumbling bricks, etc., etc., etc. And you're off. You have to get the mice from the one end of the screen to the other. You have to save all of them, and you also have to collect crystals while you do it. You can place Tetris bricks before you release the mice at the beginning. Sometimes you have to pause the action and freeze time, and then build bridges around the mice as they're frozen there in time. In terms of difficulty, completing levels is reasonably straightforward, but collecting all of the crystals, I found, I have to be honest, insanely difficult sometimes. I read the Eurogamer review today, and it was the guy that reviewed it said it was really easy, where I could finish levels, but going and collecting all of the crystals, I found just insane at some points. I just ran into problems constantly. I was surprised that I thought everyone was going to come out saying how difficult it is, but maybe that's just me. There are mechanical issues as well. I mean, this was an early access game, like I said, but there are some surprising oversights, like these little mice, these rats. There's these automated rats that you have to avoid, that they behave exactly the same as the mice do. But you can't, because there's a speed up time button, but you can't speed up time if you're trying to move those rats around into a specific position before starting the game, because speeding up time is on exactly the same button that's used to release the mice.
Yeah.
So you're like, when I have a device in my hand that has like 20 plus inputs on it, why am I using the same button to do two things? It's just a strange oversight. And also, the mice make their next move, because they kind of move in this slightly, it's almost like a block-based strategy game. They move and then they move and they move. They move in the same movement as they finish their previous one, if that makes any sense at all. So in one instance, I had to place a block between 2 mice, and I kept placing the block directly between them at exactly the right moment. But the mouse that I was trying to block off, he hadn't moved when I placed the block, but it still moved as it intended to. So it walked through the block behind it and then just died instantly. So, I mean, it's a deeply unsatisfying system because you're at the behest of bad programming. Because the animation is poorly done. It wasn't stopped by that wall. It just walked into a wall and died. And that cannot have been intentional. It's just a scrappy thing that frustrated me a couple of times. There are 80 levels, and sadly, you cannot progress without the collectibles that I mentioned before, which meant that I could only open half of the game. I did the first 40 levels, and I still had 25 of these crystals to get, and I threw in the towel at that point. I just thought, I can't, it's too difficult, and it doesn't feel like a console game at all. I mean, it has this very muted, very twee soundtrack, and success and progress are both determined by how many collectibles you manage and how many mice you save, and almost always out 3. So it's a fairly modest iOS game on a console. That's basically what it is. Yeah. I mean, it's cross-buy, but if this is for anyone, it's for Vita owners. But I have to say, I think this is absolutely destined both as a freebie on PS Plus on an extraordinarily slow month, and there will be an iOS port. I mean, it has to go to iOS. They would be insane if they did not port this to iOS. I mean, I know iOS is a massively unpredictable and difficult to gauge Wild West these days, but I can't imagine many people wanting to play this on a home console at all. It doesn't fit quite right on PlayStation.
Yeah.
It's a really good concept, and it's executed fairly well, but there's no getting away from the fact that it's a mobile game.
Completely, yeah. When I was playing it, even the fact that it would work better on a touchscreen, I think, dragging and dropping the bricks.
Yeah, exactly.
But I played a small amount of it. Thought it was okay, but you said it was going to get hard. I saw the Eurogame review. I was finding it tedious anyway. I didn't like the cat in the background, so I felt like it was probably a good time to tap out. I thought, I don't really need to force this situation if I'm not necessarily going to talk about it too much on the podcast. But it's difficult one, isn't it? It's like, go out and get Mousecraft. Man, probably not.
Yeah.
Does anyone need to play this? I don't know.
And it's the best part of £10 as well. It just seems like a misjudged, but it is a really good concept. When it started, I was like, wow. Why has nobody melded these two? Apparently, if you look for reviews of this, in the comments, there's always people saying, it looks like this game, it looks like this game. So apparently a lot of people have already had this idea.
Right.
But it is executed pretty well. I think the main problem is that, for me, it was way too difficult, and it just doesn't really belong on a console.
Yes, totally agree with all that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet. All right. So that was your one, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so my number one then is definitely Sniper Elite 3. Last week I said that I don't think I'll get a chance to play Sniper Elite 3. Within minutes of finishing the podcast, I was asked to actually review the online parts of Sniper Elite 3. So then within a couple of days, had my own copy for Xbox One. Have you had a chance to play much of the online modes? I know you mentioned them briefly last week.
That's what I'm going to talk about. It was because it's my number 3, isn't it? So I jump back in for some online.
Of course. Okay. Well, just before then, I'll say I did jump on the campaign briefly as well. Played the first couple of missions of the campaign and thoroughly enjoyed myself. To be honest, I didn't have any of the bugs that you were talking about, so that definitely helped. I mean, there were issues with texture glitching and stuff sort of appearing in and out of the background, which
anything aesthetic like that never bothered me. But I mean, it did get progressively worse as it went on.
Right. But I thought it felt like a more streamlined and slightly smarter version of Sniper Elite than V2. With the stealth parameters were a lot more defined, which I think helped. It made the game feel a little less realistic, not that it ever felt necessarily realistic before. Maybe a little less organic in terms of there's a lot going on the HUD. You're getting like XP bonuses and stuff like that all the time. It felt very gamey, but when the sniping is as fun as it is, and it still is fun to line up those headshots, hold your breath, watch the little red thing get smaller and smaller, and then pop off those gruesome headshots and body shots and testicle shots and things like that. I mean, it is unnecessarily savage, but I would be lying if I say I didn't get a kick out of it. But that's I say it says more about me than anyone else, but it seems to be that everyone likes that plays that game. I mean, it's no classic by any means. The level, it's probably the second. I think it's the second level. It's quite a big open area. There's a lot of like rocky outcrop to it, and as a sniper, what I'd probably want to be doing is using a lot of those rocks, climbing over them, lying prone on them. But as you said, they're invisibly walled, so you can't actually climb on any of them. But they might as well just be a wall that you could look through. So it means that strategically you can't really snipe as well as you might want to be able to. But I mean, I thought it was fun, like a good stealth game with great sniping action. And then, but I was like, okay, I'm probably not going to play this whole game. It's fine. Jumped online. First of all, a note to the matchmaking system. Never seen anything like it in 10 plus years of Xbox Live. A game where you choose a match and then it tells you, okay, if I find one, I'll let you know. See you later. And then it just nudges you, and then invites you to this party. It invites you. The game invites you to a party that it's absolutely baffling. So you have to accept the notification as if you're friends with it. I don't know. It's honestly, it feels like something that I made, and this was the only way that I could work out how to do it, and I couldn't work out any other way to do it. And I thought I'd just fucking leave it. But whatever. Gets you into a game. Not that, well, it obviously doesn't work very well because I never, in all the time that I played it, had a full game. Most of the matches that I played were on my own. Then second to that were one-on-ones. But finally, I did get into a party with, I think it was 5 people, but one of them dropped out. So it turned into a lengthy series of 2-on-2 games over a number of maps on a mode called Distance King, which is a very clever mode where you only rewarded points at how far away you kill your opponent from. So, yes, you can run up behind him and shotgun around the back, but you don't get any points for it. You get like 3 points, whereas a sniper shot from the other side of the map gets you like 150 points. So it kind of eliminates that shitty side of the game, which is prevalent in the deathmatch and team deathmatch modes. And me and this American guy, at first, he was on mic, I wasn't. He was kind of telling me what to do. And I was definitely annoying him at first because I was just running around like I was playing Battlefield and getting shot in the head. But after half an hour or so, I started to adjust to exactly what I was supposed to be doing. And then I had the revelation that you can spot people with your binoculars, and they would be spotted for your partner. Like in Battlefield, but I didn't realise that was part of this game. And once I worked that out, I suddenly became quite a fantastic asset to this guy who was at that point much better at lining up his shots. So I was just creeping around and making sure I spotted people and then just enjoying it as they got sniped by someone at the other side of the map. We were working without really communicating with each other. We were working as a team while the people we were playing against were basically standing next to each other, which in this game is actually a terrible idea. You want to split up. And then when I started nailing my own headshots, he spotted someone for me, and the guy was looking completely the wrong way. So I took my time, took my shot, lined it all up, got the red mark on it, and then if you hit it, it actually cuts to their point of view, and you get to see the headshot go in as you do in the single-player game. It doesn't have the graphic Mortal Kombat style slow-mo through the x-ray and all that stuff, but it's still fucking satisfying. And I actually shot a guy through the lens of his binocular, my first ever headshot, and I jumped out of my seat and punched the air like a fucking loser. So and every single time that happened since then, properly satisfying. I mean, that is some seriously satisfying killage in terms of online play. And we just kept playing like that, and I thought it was absolutely tremendous. It's a shame there's no one online. I really thought it was good. Some problems with flickery scenery when you're basically spending your game scanning the horizon and you're getting tricked by a building disappearing and reappearing from view. That doesn't really help matters, but it's always going to be a bit sketchy because it's just one of those games that just is. The budget's not that as high, but it does what it does quite well. They need to sort the matchmaking out. I would be interested to play 6-on-6, but I think that actually might be too many people. I think 2-on-2 really helped because the matches were really, really tense and every kill felt like it mattered, and also it never felt like we were losing control of the situation. As long as we kept hidden, we weren't getting sniped, and when we did foray out and spotted them, we were just running riot, to be honest. These two people had no chance against us over a long series of matches, and I had an absolutely cracking time. I think I ended up awarding it 7 for the review, but it lost a mark for the fact that it was so difficult to get a game with people in, but way better than I thought it was going to be. Really, really good fun.
Yeah, I mean, I played probably about 7 or 8 games of this day, and it was like banging my head against a wall.
Really?
I don't know how you can recommend something that's so faulty, because I mean the matchmaking system is completely and utterly screwed.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
50% of the time, it will just set up a dead lobby for you, or otherwise it will be a lobby with one person or 2 people. I mean, people can join the game if you keep the game alive long enough, but it's such a slow-paced game that most people just leave before things get going. I mean, it is like everything's running through a switchboard and there's an old man snoozing by it, and you just like, wake up and find me a game. So, for God's sake, this is what era is it? And this is like the best-selling game in the country 2 weeks in a row. You'd think there'd be some people playing it, but I just think that it's a screwed matchmaking system. So I feel bad commenting on it because I basically haven't played enough of it, but the most people I've had in a single game was 5, and that was dull as can be. And I'm not wasting my life waiting for people to arrive that are also probably toiling away in lobbies on their own, waiting for people to join them. It's just, I don't know if the campaign's bugginess extends to the multiplayer. I don't think it does, but some people have found parts of maps where they can snipe from sort of behind or through scenery, so they don't give their position away with the lens. And I kept getting killed by this guy. He looked like he was in a rock, and I even ran up there and he was peppering me the whole time, and I got up there and I couldn't even, I don't know, it seems like people have exploited it.
That's a shame. I didn't have any of that, but it also doesn't really surprise me that there is stuff like that in this game. That stuff appears in the biggest games, so it's no real surprise in this.
Yeah, there's, in addition to the mode you spoke about, which is all well and good, but if you've got 2 people hiding in a room, getting a series of up close kills, if they're out of vision, if a sniper can't see them, then they've won the game. There's also no cross mode, which is in theory a really terrific idea, but I kept, they basically split the map in half so you can't go over the halfway point. But I kept encountering people repeatedly who'd get 1 kill and then just hide in the house. You can't go and take them out because you can't get over to that part of the area, so that you just sat there for 15 minutes waiting around for someone who's standing inside a house making a cup of tea. So it's just that the mode is completely exploited. I thought, what a great idea. You can't come and shoot you in the back with a shotgun, but if you want to hide it out, you don't even have to step near a window. You can literally hide somewhere where you will never get seen. One thing I do like about the multiplayer is that you have to manage your heart rate so much more than you do in the campaign. Because if you run around, which you have to do sometimes if you've been spotted, you can't bring up that red diamond until you've recovered and you've got your heart rate down. That really comes into play on multiplayer, and it doesn't really in the campaign because the campaign's so... it probably does on the harder difficulty tiers, but on the main one it doesn't really. There's also... This is another thing that they've taken from the campaign. There's baloney footprints. Sorry, not footprints, footsteps. I spoke about in the campaign, you'd be crouching around, you could hear people, and you could hear... They're not there. The sounds are there to try and keep you... I don't know why they're there. It just seemed like a really sloppy, a really snide technique. But I was in a game, and it was just me versus one guy. The guy who was trapped in the rocks on the other side of the map, and I couldn't kill him, and he just kept killing me. And I was like, "Oh God, more people have joined. I checked, and they haven't. It's just like footprints running around, footsteps, and it's like, well, just baloney nonsense. Same stuff from the campaign. It is exciting when you catch someone sprinting around, when you zoom in to investigate something, and you just see them sort of run past. But you have to have been hiding for 2 minutes to do that, and I don't know. I love that I really love the fact that there's a create private match option on the multiplayer menu, because they're all private matches with the odd accidental random there. I don't know. I think the game, fundamentally, a sniping game, they've just made the most literal. They've tried to make Call of Duty with an emphasis on snipers, and that was never really going to work. I mean, I can imagine it would be much fun if you have a co-op buddy and one of you is watching your back and you're sort of helping each other out.
See, that's what happened with this guy. He just happened to be. He was like quite highly ranked. He was like ranked 15 or 16, and everyone else was in the low single digits. And he just seemed to know what he was doing. He gave me a bit of instructions through it was coming through like the TV set, but it was really good because of that. But equally, I could have played the exact same amount of time that I played, never met that guy, had a bunch of shitty one-on-ones with people hiding in houses and getting shot, and never really, because I basically learnt how to play the game while playing with that guy. It's not a huge process, but with it being so difficult to find a match with people in it, you're in danger of not having the experience that I had. So I can only review from the experience that I had.
Of course.
But clearly, that's not an experience that many people are going to have. And there's no way that you can't fill up 12 people in a game that's been top of the charts for 2 weeks and has done well in America. Like, there are enough people to have a fucking game of Sniper Elite. It might not have the legs of Call of Duty, but there are enough people to have a game of Sniper Elite.
Yeah.
Apparently, they're going to patch that. They better. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, that's quite. It really is quite something. I mean, the thing is, this is the kind of game that could develop into a real cult if you play with, if you had 6 guys versus 6 guys, if there are teams of people who start playing this and who would only need a private matchmaking lobby, then that's fine. This could actually really take off, because I got into a similar situation with you where it was me and one guy. He was high ranked again, and I was spotting people, and we were doing really well. 2 guys left almost immediately. Because we were just hammering them. So because it does need that level of teamwork, I think it could sort of become a mild success. But I don't know. It's like the main game. There's too much wrong with it for me to be able to recommend it. Even though the core of it's entertaining, it just it's a difficult one. It's really,
that is fair. Those are fair criticisms, and like I said, I can no way. When you're talking about a game like Titanfall, I can pretty much guarantee that most people who play it are going to have a very similar experience to what I've had. They're going to, it's going to be full matches, it's going to be fast, it's going to be exciting. Whether or not you like that or not, it's a different thing. But I can't guarantee that you're going to have anywhere near like what I had with Sniper Elite at all.
It's a damn shame.
It is a shame. It is a shame because I've been rooted for V2 and I kind of rooted for this one because Rebellion are a company that have done a lot of shit, but they have this one property that is kind of their baby. It's definitely the best sniping game. There's those Sniper Ghost games. I've actually never played those, but apparently, by all accounts, they're fucking awful. Yeah. And any other game that's tried to do that has basically been awful. And these games, I mean, they really are quite good. Even within that, with caveats, with points attached. But sort it out.
Yeah.
Sort it out.
Yeah, sort it. I mean, that's the thing. I wanted to like Sniper Elite because the sniping is so fun, but I just got a whack. It was like battering a brick back into a place of me liking it. I was like, no, I can't put up with this anymore. Sniper Elite V2 is definitely superior. There clearly was a lot more. I think a lot more work went into it. The whole desire to paint it as a big blockbuster, I think, is what really hurt it because they ended up cutting corners and it hurt the campaign and the multiplayer. I don't even know what to say about it because I haven't been able to play it and I've tried for hours. So who knows?
Hello, Reese.
Yeah. Thank you very much for listening. That is us done. Episode 121. We will be back next week with a fuller show, almost certainly. Thank you for listening. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter at Chet and John's at Chet Royals at John Denton, and our YouTube channel, YouTube/. Chet and John, or just type Chet and John into YouTube and it'll find something we've done, and there you go. But yeah, thanks very much for listening. Hopefully speak to you next week.
Catch you on the flip.
Genuine.
Yes! Get that cheese! Get it, you mice! Oh, hello. You're probably wondering why a cat like me is helping these mice get to the cheese. Well, let me explain. For cheese's sake, it's too complicated. Hypnosis. Yes. Let's talk why Mousecraft is such a brilliant game. The goal is to get the mice to the cheese by dropping blocks. Luckily, Mousecraft has an undo button and an active pause feature when you gouda done something differently. That's right. You will buy Mousecraft.
You stupid, ignorant son of a bitch, dumb bastard! Jesus Christ, I've met some dumb bastards in my time, but you outdo them all. Get over there!